Hello everybody, I hope you're well and welcome back to Voicenotes with Jordan Theresa. How is everybody doing today? Did someone say someone's looking a little bit dressed up? Someone's looking a little bit glam today. So this is if you're watching, by the way. If this is audio, I'm so sorry, but I'm looking a little glam because guys, this is the pre-drinks. Well, actually, I'm going to a pre-drinks, but this is the pre-drinks to the pre-drinks. So usually I record these episodes on a Thursday, right? I record these episodes on oh my goodness. Sorry, my neighbours, I actually don't know if it's one of the adults or they have a very young child, like under 1 year old, but they're like walking around and stuff. And they obviously like run around, but they're also like, this child must have like points for feet because it's so stompy. Anyways, don't want to bitch about a child a bit much. But I usually record these episodes on a Thursday right before I'm about to go to therapy. Yeah, that's right. I go to therapy looking glammed up. Anyways, I usually record this episode on a Thursday, but yesterday I just wasn't feeling the vibe. And I was like, what could get me in the mood? I was like, I'm going on a night out today. Why don't I have a pre-drinks podcast episode? Because the subject we're talking about is men who hate their girlfriends. And I feel like men who hate their girlfriends is perfect. Crack a bevy open, chat with the girls before you go to the bar or club. I'm a genius. So I thought I would treat this episode like a pre-drinks with the girls and the guys. Don't worry, everybody's included, and the NBs. We're all included, okay? I will say, just remembered that I upload these episodes at 6 a.m. on a Monday. So if you want to put this episode in your pocket, put a pin in it, and save it for when you're having a pre-drink, please feel free. Or when you're like getting ready and you're drinking when you get ready. And even if you don't drink, people that don't drink still go to the pre-drinks. So I thought for the little pre-drinking episode today, first of all, I love the fact that I'm wearing like my little raver outfit, guys. Like, I feel like you guys are seeing like, was that cringe? No such thing as cringe. I feel like you guys are seeing, like, I always talk about going out. I always talk about going to festivals. I never record things right before. So I feel like you guys are seeing me. I feel like you guys are coming to the club with me. I feel like you guys are seeing me, a different part of me in my element. So I got 2 tinnies because I couldn't be bothered to like commit to buying an entire bottle of oh my God, sorry, Boots is being crazy. I couldn't be bothered. I didn't want to commit to like a full spirit because I don't drink beers or ciders before I go on. I mean, I don't drink beers anyway. And I don't drink ciders before a night out because I have is it a small bladder? I would say that my bladder is not well trained because oh my God, the way my enunciation was just like one of the experts on Married at First Sight. I've been watching a lot of Married at First Sight at the moment because the UK series is coming out at the moment. And you know, they always go like, and she has a lot of trust issues. They've both experienced heartbreak. You know, what was I saying? I can't remember what this is in relation to. Sorry, I'm on a different planet today. But anyways, I didn't want to commit to a full spirit. And also, you know what? It's not even the commit. Oh, wait, no, we were on my small bladder. I don't necessarily have a small bladder. I just don't have a well-trained bladder because I consume a concerning lack of liquids throughout my week. As in, it's 4 p.m. right now. Yes, I'm starting my pre-drinks at 4 p.m. It's 4 p.m. right now. The only liquids that I've had all day is a glass and a half of squash. That doesn't feel right. So this is the thing. So my bladder is not trained. So I once got into Jubal's beer, you know, the peach flavored beer. I got into it. I had 2 pints of it once. And I remember I peed before I left and I had to go from Finsbury Park to Brixton on the Victoria line, which isn't as long as you'd think it would be, because the Victoria line is truly a marvel of what the human mind and body is capable of. The fact that I can get from north to south London in the space in not even half an hour, amazing. So I was like, oh, perfect. Let me just pee before I go. I was going from Finsbury Park to Brixton. Oh my God, guys, I was about to wet myself when I got to Brixton. And my friend's house was it's like a 15-minute walk from the station. So I had to go into a restaurant and be like, please, can I use your toilet? And they charged me £1. Money well spent, in my opinion. But oh my God. So at that point, I was like, you know what? I just can't commit to spirits. Not spirits. I can't commit to drinking beers and ciders. I especially can't commit to it on a night out because once you break the seal, it's over. Also, having to queue for the toilet in the club, like obviously towards the end, the toilets are usually very empty, but like at the beginning, the queues are crazy. It's just like every single time I just think about Invisible Women and the fact that the men in the women's bathrooms are usually the same size, even though women actually need more space for the bathrooms because obviously we go in cubicles and not in urinals. Equality doesn't equal equity. Exactly. I can't remember how I got onto this, but I also, it's not even just committing to the spirit. I didn't want to commit to buying a bottle of fizzy drink, a bottle of soda, a mixer, because like when you get a mixer, and bear in mind, I'm only going to have 2 drinks here and then I'm going to head, oh my God, it's so funny, guys. You want to know the stages of my night? Because bear in mind, the club doesn't open till 11:30. We probably won't get there till like, half midnight, I can imagine. So it's 4 p.m. right now. I'm having a couple bevies with the girls. I will say, these aren't to get me drunk. This is just to like feel like I'm doing something, because tinnies really, really don't get me drunk at all. We're having a bevy with the girls. And then I'm going over to somebody else's house. It's just me and him. And we're going to have a couple drinks there. And then I reckon at about 8:39, then we're going to go to the official pre-drinks. And then at around midnight, I reckon we'll head to the club. So there's a lot going on, I will say. But these are my 2 drinks of choice. And I wanted to go for tinnies, especially because tinnies, number one, tinnies don't get me drunk, because I don't want to get drunk yet. Because I've got a long night ahead of me. Club closes at 6 a.m. yeah. Which honestly, like, that's like not early doors, but that is like fair enough doors, because last time I was at the club, I was at Fold until 8 a.m. Oh, girl. And I might be going on a night out at Fold. I'm going to Fold for Halloween, by the way, but I'm also going to go to Fold in November, where the event ends at 10 a.m. I beg your pardon. But anyways, I didn't want to commit to buying a fizzy drink. I didn't want to commit to buying a mixer, because then it's like the pressure's on. The pressure is on figuratively and literally, because once you've broken the seal of that mixer, you have to finish it in 3 days, otherwise it goes flat and then it's a waste. Come on. So anyways, I've got 2 drinks here. We've got Absolute Vodka Sprite, and then we've got Gordon's Pink Gin and Tonic. I think, should we... Let's start it out with the pink gin and tonic. I can only drink pink gin in the can, because I once gave myself the autonomy of a whole bottle of pink gin, and I had what I can only describe as the worst hangover of my life. It was like 3 years ago, and I had heart palpitations for 2 days. Yeah, never again. Let me open this. Let me try to open it in the microphone so you guys can hear it. Oh, fuck. Cheers, guys. Oh, God, I've got... Fuck, sorry. Cheers, guys. Let's do that again. Happy Friday, everyone. Happy pre-drinks. Or happy whenever you're listening to this. If you're listening to this and you're not going on a night out, if you're on your way to work, if you're listening to this and you are going on a night out, have a great day nonetheless. Ooh. No, that's nice. Ooh. Sorry, I haven't had a pink gin in a while. I feel like I don't like the taste of alcohol. I've like never had did you know what I mean? I just like when the alcohol doesn't taste like alcohol. But also I like being drunk. It's interesting because in my last intro, I was discussing Christmas and my Christmas family law as someone who, like many of us, has separated parents, but I'm in my late 20s. Yeah, the rules of I have to do this Christmas of like taking turns at different parents' houses for Christmas still applies. Also, one of you guys really made me laugh by saying like, oh my God, you have an older sister, random law drop. Guys, I'm one of 4 siblings. I'm surprised. Oh my God, this is so narcissistic. But what energy of like child do I give, as in like birth order? Because I'm a middle child on both sides. What I mean by that is, so I'm one of 4, but 2 of my siblings, 2 of my younger siblings are half siblings on other sides. So my little brother is my mum and my stepdad's child, and my little sister is my dad and my stepmum's child. So them 2 actually aren't related. So we're not ever a family unit of 4. I am in a unit of 3, but just twice, if that makes sense. And I'm a middle child on both, and I feel like I very much give middle child energy. But what was I saying? Sorry. Yeah, no, I remember I was talking to you guys last time about Christmas, and I got a comment from you guys where someone said, how are you talking about Christmas when Halloween is around the corner? I don't know, and obviously no offense to the person that left this comment. Thank you for leaving a comment. Thank you so much. Love some discussion. But my take on Halloween is, why are we pretending that Halloween is even on a similar plane to Christmas? Halloween is not the same as Christmas. Halloween is not the same as Christmas. Maybe in the US it's a bit different because everything's a lot more like, seasons greetings. You guys have so much space in that country to decorate your front yards. Do you know what I mean? I'm only kidding. But I feel like holiday season is taken a lot more seriously in the US because everything's just so much bigger over there. In the UK, it's just not the same. I do only see Halloween as like you get to put on like a funny little like head decoration on a night out and kids go trick-or-treating. That's sort of how I view Halloween. I just don't think it's that deep. I will say though, I'm not like a Halloween Scrooge because I love seeing other people dress up. And I think the best costumes are the ones that are really niche but done really well. And I just don't have the energy to commit to like doing a really good niche reference costume. The only really good niche costume reference I've ever wanted to do was I wanted to go as Jesse Pinkman from Breaking Bad and have someone go with me as Walter and wear like the bald cap. Like that would be so fun, and I would have like the big jacket on and like the baggy jeans. Like that would be so fun. That's the only costume that I've ever like truly felt drawn to. But yeah, like I'm just not really fussed. But I do have Halloween plans because I am actually celebrating my birthday on Halloween, and I am actually going to Fold, and I'm very excited, guys. Why am I in my clubbing era right now? This is to get over the fact that festival season's gone. Still grieving festival season, but yeah. I will say something I didn't consider about the pre-drinks podcast episode is usually you take a sip of your pre-drink at the pre-drinks when someone else is talking. I have no one else to talk to apart from you guys. So I'm literally going like, and then I'm taking a big break to take a big swig of my pink G&T because it'll be really embarrassing if I can't finish these 2 measly tinnies on an episode. So you guys may be wondering, Jordan, what night out are you going on? I am going to see Simone at Village Underground. I recommended one of her sets in the last episode, and I didn't know that Juicy Romance are also playing. Juicy Romance are so fun. My song of the summer last summer was Summer Smash by Juicy Romance, and it's actually really funny that Summer Smash was my song of the summer that summer because I was going through like such a heinous breakup, and I was like going through it, but in my headphones it was in the summer smash, popping as bikini flat, tummy fat, face fat. But yeah, so I'm going to Village Underground. I've never been Village Underground before, but guys, do you want to know what was bliss? Googling where Village Underground is. Guys, it's in Shoreditch. Bring back clubs that aren't in the absolute outskirts of London. Like, it feels so good to know that I will be able to get home in, I think, maybe like 20 minutes. Oh, it's amazing. It takes me like 50 minutes to get home from Fold. It takes, to be fair, Fabric, it's again because Fabric's in central London. Well, what other clubs are like in the middle of nowhere? The Cause. Love you, The Cause. But however, I've got to get a cable car to get to you guys? Nah. So I have known nothing about this club. But what I am very happy about is the fact that it's not even in central London, it's in Shoreditch, but like it's not in like the actual outskirts. I'm not going to a club in Zone 5. We won, guys, we won! So that's where I'm going tonight. And my prediction is, because it finishes at 6, so my prediction is I think I'm going to be in bed, as in makeup off, teeth brushed, maybe not showered, that's a bit much. I reckon I'll be in bed by 7:30. That's my prediction. I reckon it'll be light outside, and I reckon that might make me feel a bit sick. And I'm staying at someone's house, so I think I'm going to bring my eye mask with me. A diva was here. I'm going to bring my eye mask with me. But yes, if you are one of the people who decide to save this episode for when you're pre-drinking for something or getting ready and you want to have someone who's also going on a night out yammering in your ear, please let me know where you're headed, where you're off to. I really want to know. And should we do a little outfit of the day? Because shall we address the elephant in the room? You know, my favourite meme, like one of my favourite memes ever, is Alexandra Burke's elephant in the room. I'm sure we all know what this is, but for any not British listeners, there's a very famous singer called Alexandra Burke, and she sung amazing bops like Bad Boys, Tune. Her album Overcome was the first album I think I ever bought, or like the second album. I think the first album I bought was a Spice Girls album. Bad Boys, Broken Heels was genuinely one of the best songs. Broken Heels is the reason why I'm a feminist today. You could do it even better in broken heels. And obviously she did the cover of Hallelujah, and that's what won her the X Factor. Alexandra Burke was the winner of the X Factor, and she was in that era of X Factor where she did a duet with Beyonce. Yeah, Beyonce. How did I get onto Alexandra Burke? Oh yeah, and she went on the news once and she basically was like, I heard this phrase in America called elephant in the room, and I decided to bring it over to the UK. And she was explaining why she called one of her songs Elephant in the Room, which I'm obsessed with the fact that Alexandra Burke had only ever heard the phrase elephant in the room in the US. Diva! A diva was here. Sorry, you could say that a diva is here is like my hyperfixation phrase at the moment. But shall we address that, in the words of Alexandra Burke, bringing this over to the UK, we can thank her for that. Shall we address the elephant in the room, which is my amazing outfit? So it's my little going out outfit. So I'm wearing my Peachy Den cargos. My like go-to going out like clubbing outfits, I will always wear a pair of cargos. Never want to wear jeans to the club. Like, I find it too uncomfortable. And also at the moment, you know, my favorite pair of jeans that I wear in every episode, guys, it's so embarrassing. They've gotten too big. They're too, guys, I just got them tailored and now they're too big. And it's like too big to the point where, number one, you can always see what pants I'm wearing. And I'm on my period. I'm on my... A diva was not here. Diva down. I'm on my period and it's day 1 period. And then obviously when the clock strikes midnight, it will become day 2 period. And famously, we all know here, day 2 period. Day 2 period is the fucking trenches. The trenches. Like, and this thing, I'm wearing period underwear because I'm having to double up. We're having to do tampon and a pad. So I didn't want to wear my jeans because I didn't want everyone seeing my ugly underwear. And also the fact that my jeans are falling down. Like when I cross the road and I have to like run because the traffic lights are about to change, I have to hold my trousers. Otherwise my trousers fall down. Guys, my trousers are falling down. But anyways, I don't like to wear jeans to the club because they're a bit too uncomfortable. Also, the club can get quite sweaty. You want something that's airy, light, but still, can't say this word on YouTube, C word. So I'm wearing these cargos from Peachy Den that I'm getting very paranoid that I'm getting like period stains on, I can't lie. And then this incredible top, I hate to say it, guys, it is vintage. It looks red in the camera, but it's actually a very, very hot pink. And it's got this beautiful sequin detail. This is from, I cannot remember if it's from Isabella Vrana's vintage or if it's from Vival Studios vintage. They have a shop on Hackney Road. It's called 128 and they have the most amazing stock. And I bought it from there. I've got my Fruity Booty bra underneath. I love a visible bra moment because I nearly wore like a pink bra with this to try and like coordinate it. But to be fair, the pink bra is sheer and the top is sheer. So I'd be like serving nips. And I'm not in the mood to get my nipples out today. There's many times where I'm in the mood to get my nipples out. Not today. So I decided to wear this like darker bra, which I think is a look. And then I'm going to wear, I think, oh God, sorry guys, my stomach hurts. Oh, I think I'm going to wear my Salomons. Or I got a new pair of trainers, Nike Shox, but I don't wear new trainers to the club. But also I just cleaned my Salomons, so they're a bit wet. And then I'm going to have like my little handbag with all of like my little clubbing essentials in. I can't lie, guys, I need to take a break because I need to go to the bathroom quickly because period stuff. Okay, guys, I'm back. Sorry about that. This period is kicking my ass. So this makeup has to last me until 6 a.m. Well, 7 a.m. really, considering time to get home, blah, blah, blah. But really 6 a.m. I've had this makeup on since 1 p.m. This needs to last, like, what is it? Like 18 hours. And guys, I only ever whip out this setting spray on very special occasions because you know when something feels not just bad for your skin, but it feels like I don't think I should be breathing this in. It's like that L'Oreal Infallible spray. Leave a comment if you ever used the L'Oreal Infallible spray because oh my God, guys, it smells like petrol. Like it smells like hairspray. And I'm like, this cannot be good for my skin. But I've had my makeup on because I have really oily skin. I've had my makeup on for 3 hours now and it is literally looking like I've just put it on. Like, I'm feeling very confident today. I'm feeling very good. And jackets wise, I've already told the story about how like the worst part about like winter nights out is deciding what jacket I'm going to commit to. As in, am I going to commit to a jacket that I can tie around my waist so I can put on a jacket every time I go to the smoking area, but truly it's never going to be warm enough? Or do I commit to like a full coat moment and then check it into the cloakroom, so whenever I do go out for a cigarette, freezing, but on that journey home, I'm extremely toasty. Sorry, I am like hyped today. Like, I'm hyped. I think I might be a bit like, I've got pre-night out nerves. I've had pre-night out nerves since Tuesday, guys. I haven't been to the club in like I just don't feel like I go to the club that often, really, even though I do. Like, I just haven't been to the club in like a really long time. And I feel like the nights out I go on are quite intense. So like, it's very normal to get pre-night out nerves. Like, guys, I don't know if I'm pre-night out nerves, but I don't know if it's the cramps from my period, but I'm nervous. I'm going to have to take an Imodium before I go out. And just before we get into it, I would like to shout out my Substack. If you want bonus voice notes content, that's bonus episodes, monthly live streams, make sure you subscribe to my Substack. If you subscribe for free, you still get extra voice notes content, you know, little articles to go alongside. I'm like pretty active on notes. But if you want bonus voice notes content, paid subscribers access one monthly bonus episode a month. One monthly bonus episode a month, plus a monthly live stream, plus access to the exclusive group chat. Love. I've done 2 bonus episodes so far. The first one was about Sydney Sweeney, and the second one was about Bonnie Blue. And the next one is going to be about J.K. Rowling, Emma Watson, and Harry Potter adults. I often cover things over there that are either more controversial, or I know that like this lovely website that I host my podcast on that I love so much will, you know, flag the video. So I just like to cover the more controversial, sensitive stuff over on the Substack. If you're interested, obviously no pressure. If not, it's just for my girlies that want a little bit of bonus voice notes content. So in today's episode of Voice Notes with Jordan Theresa, I want to chat about men who hate their girlfriends. I am slightly thinking about this episode almost as a continuation of my episode of women who beg men to marry them. I actually remember one of the criticisms I got on that episode, one of the critiques, was that I can't really remember what one of the critiques was, but I think it was sort of along the lines of the episode was very women focused, and maybe we should look at things or be more critical of men, which I'm not going to lie. I feel like I'm plenty critical of men on this podcast. I feel like I'm plenty critical of men, but I'm sure people are sort of asking to come at things from a slightly different angle than just the perspective of women who beg men to marry them. Don't you guys worry. That's why I'm here with the episode, Men Who Hate Their Girlfriends. Now, I do want to make it clear that men who don't want to propose to their girlfriends don't necessarily hate them. But if there was a Venn diagram of women, of, you know, men who don't propose to their girlfriends, men who hate their girlfriends, I do believe, in my theories, I do believe that there would be a little bit of overlap. This episode is actually inspired by a video essay I'm working on, which is an expansion of another podcast episode. God, sorry. Oh my God, guys. This is like the JTCU, the Jordan Theresa Cinematic Universe, But this podcast episode was inspired by a video essay that I'm currently working on, which is an expansion of a previous podcast episode, which was TikTok dating advice is an echo chamber of misery. This is what this episode is inspired from. And that video essay, I've taken a little bit of inspiration from a Substack essay by Josh from Tell the Bees, who I reference so much on this podcast. I absolutely love his Substack, love his TikTok. And this essay is called Boyfriend Land, and it will be linked down below. I think it's absolutely amazing. In Boyfriend Land, Josh notes not only the social media phenomenon that is boyfriend praising, and I know that sounds a little bit silly, and look, maybe I sound like a bitter old wench. Someone's going to be like, oh, wench alert. No, I don't have an issue with people bragging about their boyfriends, like women bragging about their boyfriends on social media, but what Josh notes in his essay, which I haven't even thought about it in this way until reading it, and I think it's so clever. It's like once you notice it, once you see it, you can't unsee it, is that there's a lot of women who praise their boyfriends and barely any men who praise their girlfriends publicly on social media. It's really, really interesting how widespread the boyfriend praising is on, you know, TikTok, for example, but it's very rarely the other way around. And when it is, It's like such a marvel. It's so like, oh my goodness, that we label these men as, we not only do we pedestal these men, but we also label them as wife guys. But you know, we don't want to get too ahead of ourselves. We will also be covering that a little bit in today's episode as well. But also, not only does Josh cover the social media phenomenon of boyfriend praising, but also, you know, he discusses essentially when men behave badly on social media. So, you know, those videos of like husbands smashing their wives' faces into cake at their wedding or spraying them with champagne. Like this, I know there's going to be some, actually, will there be some people listening to this thinking I'm being dramatic? Maybe. But in my opinion, unless your wife has been like, oh my God, yeah, if you smashed my face into a cake, that would be so funny. If she like actually has audibly said to you that she'd be down for it, and then that's just you guys having fun, sure, cool, whatever. But I think that unless you've ran it by her, I think that ruining your wife's makeup on your wedding day, ruining her dress, ruining her hair it's absolutely heinous. It's heinous, it's selfish, it's inconsiderate. I actually think it's honestly disgusting behavior. And I think that if your partner does this to you on your wedding day and you're really, really hurt by it, massive, massive red flag, huge red flag from them. But what is so interesting about these videos is there's so many people, it's like fairly widespread agreed, I think, that like when you watch these videos, a lot of people think, oh God, that is not good. That's bad. But when you go into the comments, you will see swathes? Is that the right word? I hope so. You will see so many, not just people, but women defending them. And again, it's worth noting that not only do we see women defending them, but if this was flipped the other way around and it's posted onto TikTok, a woman behaving badly towards her boyfriend or husband, do we ever see swathes and swathes of men in the comments defending them? Never. Absolutely never. It's only ever this way round. And I think the latter is what I want to explore more in this episode. Men who hate their girlfriends, the women who defend them, and the culture this has bred of boyfriend praising on social media and wife guys. And I know that like the title is probably going to get some people riled up. I know that the word hate is a strong word. Like I know that saying like men who hate their girlfriends is a strong word. But, you know, I think what I am discussing, honestly, I do think I'm discussing men who hate their girlfriends. We're going to get into that. But I also think, you know, maybe some softer language is, you know, men who don't like their girlfriends and men who don't respect their girlfriends. And, you know, if we just use, you know, cake smashing and champagne spraying as an example, if you know that your partner won't find that funny, or, you know what, it's not even like if you don't know your partner won't find it funny, if you haven't even thought or considered the fact that your partner would be upset by that behavior, and if you've not even considered the way they may feel about your little funny little prank little actions, then you do not have any respect for your partner, number one. And you know what, number two, I think a lot of it can be rooted in the fact that like maybe you don't view your partner as a multifaceted person with feelings and emotions. Maybe you don't consider how your partner views your actions or views the world. But although I think not respecting your girlfriend and disliking your girlfriend, I do believe an overlap absolutely exists. I think if you dislike your girlfriend, then you will not have respect for her. But you can not have respect for your girlfriend and not necessarily dislike them. I actually think that not having any respect for your girlfriend and not liking your girlfriend can actually be two separate phenomenons. Because when we're talking about the men who don't like their girlfriends, there are just a lot of men out there who don't like women. They just don't like women. They don't like women's company. They don't like spending time with women. They don't want to speak with women. They don't want to hold long conversations with women. They don't want to watch, you know, work by women. They don't want to know women's perspectives on things. They don't want to view the world through a woman's eyes. They don't want to view the world through, you know, a loved one of theirs who is a woman's eyes. They just never, you know, their lives are very selfish. Their lives are very few through their own male lens. And I actually think the biggest marker of when a man doesn't like women is when he doesn't have any female friends. And this, I know this is going to be kind of a controversial one, because I remember a few years ago, the sentiment, and look, I don't even know if this is still a true thing, because I'm not being funny. I don't really frequent like TikTok dating talk. I don't like frequent the TikTok dating space. But I remember a few years ago, the sentiment was that if a man had female friends, it was a red flag. And guys, I'm going to hold your hands when I say this. If you are dating a guy and he doesn't have any female friends, run in the other direction. Run in the other direction, because it means that he does not like women outside of fucking them. And he doesn't like spending time with women unless there is a sexual possibility there. But we don't just have men who don't have any female friends. We also have, I saw this TikTok. What a shock. I saw a TikTok. I always see a TikTok, but I saw this TikTok where this guy was on a podcast and he was basically saying, this is me paraphrasing, but he was like, I've never enjoyed hanging out with a woman as much as I've enjoyed hanging out with one of my bros. Like, this guy was basically talking about how he has no desire to hang out with women outside of dating them. Another red flag, because you don't value women outside of being able to fuck them. And I know that we've already probably made this connection here, but a couple people may be wondering, do these men really dislike women if they are still pursuing romantic and sexual relationships with them? Just because these men are sexually attracted to women doesn't mean that they actually like them. In fact, these kinds of men view women as objects and vessels for their own sexual pleasure only, which is why they will not build or sustain relationships with women they are not sleeping with or don't have the potential to sleep with. And these men who don't like women outside of being able to sleep with them, they do settle down. These men happen to, lean fairly right wing. They happen to end up, nuclear family, house with a mortgage, marriage, dog, kids, etc. They do settle down, which leads to the men who hate their girlfriends phenomenon. But just because he's ready to settle down doesn't mean that he likes women anymore. And, I know to the untrained ear, uncritical feminist ear, this is going to sound like I'm being dramatic. And I know that I do tend to speak in extremities on this podcast, but just to get deep for a second with my pink G&T, it is heartbreaking the amount of women that I know who have had an experience of being in a relationship with someone who hates them. I've been there. One of the guys that I dated, one of my boyfriends, he hated me. He absolutely hated me. He did not like me as a person. And it is so heartbreaking, because this is what makes those relationships quite addictive. Is, it's the ups and downs. When they give you a sprinkling of praise or attention, it feels so good because you've been completely deprived of it. That it's just so sad, the amount of women that I know who have gone through this. It's funny. I wrote in my list, essentially, why is this? Why do so many men hate their girlfriends? Why do so many men hate women? We are never ever truly going to be able to dive into that in today's episode. This is centuries on millennia of work which has led us to this point. Obviously, it links to the obvious of, socializing within patriarchy, and that is often the devaluation of women's thoughts and words, and what goes hand in hand of that is the sexualization of these women and the repeated socialization through media and porn that these women exist solely for men's sexual pleasure, and any hint of a multifaceted person, of a personality alongside this often turns these men off. Guys, we are cracking open the second pre-drink. We've got the absolute mixer with Sprite. I'm not going to do a slap because that's disgusting. Like I said, we can't truly get into the nitty-gritty of why men dislike women, because we will literally be here forever. And honestly, I feel like a bit of an idiot going why do men hate their girlfriends? Guys, patriarchy, duh. But I think what is so interesting, and what Josh points out in his essay, is the amount of women that are so deeply conditioned into patriarchy that when we do see social media content of men behaving badly, the wedding cake smashing, the champagne spraying, the trends of how, and not even just men treating their girlfriends badly, men behaving badly in general, the way that male friends speak to their female friends, the text and they'll all go viral, or when people post videos of like, oh, this is how my brother speaks to me, or screenshots of their text messages, and the fact that the men in their lives, their brothers, their fathers, their male friends are just fucking rude to them, and we accept this behavior, and we laugh it off as funny. We laugh it off as just boys being boys. But, you know, it's interesting that when we do see social media content of men behaving badly, if you go into the comments, you will find so many women defending them, because we've been deeply conditioned into patriarchy our entire lives. You know, the reason why I pick this up as a symptom of patriarchy is it is simply never the other way around. If a woman misbehaves, you will find both men and women, not even just holding them to account, but, you know, essentially abusing them, bullying them in the comments section. You know, it's so interesting the excuses that we use for men's bad behavior. You know, boys will be boys. Let's abolish the phrase boys will be boys, please. Or like, even like, you know, oh, he's just excited. Oh, he's just excited. You know, it's really interesting because this reminded me of gender reveal parties, because to be fair, it's not just men who have adverse reactions at gender reveal parties, it's often women as well. But also I would like to say, if you're going to have an adverse reaction to your baby's gender not being what you want at a gender reveal party, maybe don't have a party for it. Maybe find out in private. Maybe just don't have a baby. Let's just use that as an example. You know, a man having an adverse reaction to finding out he's having a daughter. There is just a constant excusing of men's poor behavior, and they will just excuse it as, oh, it's just his emotions. Always just overwhelmed, always just excited. And, you know, it's interesting that we always excuse men's behavior based on their emotions, but we never excuse women's behavior based on their emotions. Because often this is rooted in the fact that we believe that men's emotions are more valid, not just more valid than women's, but we actually view men's emotions as more uncontrollable. It's interesting, the women who defend them. You know, women are socialized to accept men's bad behavior via mistreatment from their fathers, brothers, male friends, which again is all excused under the argument of boys will be boys. And, you know, women, you know, like from what I see on TikTok of the women who like post jokey TikToks about how horribly their brothers speak to them, or about how horribly their male friends speak to them, not only are we conditioned to excuse this behavior, but we're also conditioned to be like, oh my God, they're just so funny. Oh my God, they're just so funny. Guys, we need to get out of here. We need more for ourselves. Not only are women socialized to excuse men's bad behavior, to praise men's bad behavior, we're also socialized to not question it. And I think that the women who defend these men, I think this can also be linked back to women who beg men to marry them. Women are socialized not just to not question men's bad behavior, but we're also socialized to excuse it, as many women feel they only yield power and agency dependent on the men that they are adjacent to, which not only leads, you know, women to beg men to marry them because they just want to, the only value they hold in themselves is their husband, is their partner, is their fiance. But, you know, I think another interesting phenomenon that is born from men who hate their girlfriends is wife guys and boyfriend social media content, which Josh also touched on in his Boyfriend Land Substack essay. Again, as I said, social media content in which girlfriends are praising their boyfriends does not exist in the same capacity the other way around, anywhere near the same capacity the other way around. And I think the reason for this is I think that content of good boyfriends performs well on social media because good boyfriends are a scarce material. Good boyfriends are a scarce material, and scarcity is what makes something valuable. And I also think that this kind of content, this kind of like good boyfriend social media content, is almost aspirational content in a way. And I repeat over and over again in my content that aspirational content is what performs best on social media. And what I will say about the social media boyfriend content is I do think that women do post on social media more anyways. And again, I don't think there's anything wrong with praising or showing off your partner like publicly, but the disparity of the content between men and women is definitely something that is worth noting and that we should definitely like think about. It does remind me of this quote. One sec, let me get it up. So this was a tweet from Lynette Ntuli, and it is, or there's another tweet from Omega Dami. So I don't actually know who thought of this, who to source this to, but all men benefit from the actions of violent men. It keeps women in check. It allows men to perform the barest minimum and still feel good about themselves. The existence of violent men grants good men awards for basic decency. Now, I know people are going to think I'm doing too much. let's just replace violent men with bare minimum boyfriends and men who hate their girlfriends. All men benefit from the actions of bare minimum boyfriends, because when we do have men who are just being good partners, who are just doing what they should do, they're just being decent human beings, it's praised by all of us. And again, I think this entire culture, it's given birth to this, essentially what I think is the amalgamation of this phenomenon, and it is the wife guy. The wife guy would not be able to exist without the bare minimum boyfriend or the bare minimum boyfriend environment. Men who are obsessed with their wives is such a rarity that not only is this behavior broadly praised and pedestaled, but this is an identity which can be commodified and capitalized on. John Mulaney is one example of a person who capitalized on their wife guy status. But, the most obvious and honestly the most egregious example is Ned Fulmer, one of the Try Guys. He was a self-proclaimed wife guy who was caught cheating on his wife with one of his employees, which was then posted online. And not only did this cause a whole fallout, he had to leave his company. It was absolutely awful because obviously it was total HR violation, completely humiliated his wife online. He's launched a podcast, and him and his wife went on the podcast. I'm pretty sure they're getting a divorce, to talk about the scandal 2 years later. And guys, I'm going to keep it real. I know you want me to dissect it. Maybe I'll do an entire episode dissecting it. Was not in the mood to watch it this week. I didn't want to do it. It's interesting that how the wife guy has so publicly blown up in a lot of guys' faces. It's almost as if commodifying your relationship will always end badly. It's interesting because this is just what happens when you commodify your relationship. You commodify love. You commodify the style of love. And this isn't a new thing. This isn't a social media phenomenon. Think about all the celebrities that commodify their relationships all the time and how badly it goes when it all blows up in their face, when one of them cheats, when one of them gets divorced, etc. How it impacts their image, how it impacts the way people see them. It's interesting because I haven't watched Ned Fulmer's podcast, and what I will say, guys, is from a YouTuber's perspective, Ned Fulmer is laughing his way to the bank. Ned Fulmer is laughing his way to the absolute bloody bank, girls, because I'm not being funny. He has gotten 1 million views in 3 weeks on that podcast episode that's over an hour long. All of his other episodes aren't doing that well. So is this sustainable? Parading your poor wife that you cheated on your podcast. And sat on that podcast, he looked so goalless. Oh, I can't stand it. But maybe I'll do a whole episode dissecting that. But I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. Sorry! I don't really have a summary, really, apart from, patriarchy, Sorry. I don't really have a summary apart from, if you feel like your boyfriend hates you, leave him. I dated a man who I felt like hated me, and when you end up dating someone who actually doesn't hate you, there's so many men that exist out there that will respect you. And I know it doesn't seem like that because obviously it's hard in your dating in your 20s, it's hard, but you will find someone who, it's better to be alone than to be with someone who doesn't respect you and doesn't like you, because there's plenty of men that don't like women, they just like fucking them. But I hope you guys enjoyed today's episode. It's getting a little bit dark outside, so I'm gonna head and I'm gonna finish my drink and I'm gonna go on a night out. Woo! But I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. I'd love to know your thoughts. I know I was getting a little bit heated, but I'll see you guys soon for another episode.